Today, we're going to talk about source, and what source is, right? We're going to talk about it because it's often conflated with God. Source is not a God. Source, that's small play. To even equate source with being God, you're completely lost if you're in that vein of thought. Source is not God, and source is not a God. Source would never stoop to the level of a God. Now, I say that just to psychologically get you in the mind frame, because many people they'll say, oh, whatever you serve, source, God, all the same. No, not the same. Not the same. Source is source. And all of the gods are under that. And not under it as in hierarchical, but they are source also having an experience. That's right. Just like you. And so source is not a God. Source does not require worship. Source does not require your energy. It's the other way around. The energy that we embody and the energy that we are, the energy that you are, is source. We're going to get a little bit more specific into it, because many equate source and God as being the same thing, and they're not. Is there a book for source? Is there a source Bible? Source doesn't need a Bible. The source is everything, including you. Right? Because source is where all of existence emanates from. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Cleverly Star, and the rest of you who are not timid about sharing and liking this live. Please share and like the live. Our goal is to get up to 10,000 likes in 10 minutes. And this is a participation live. Everyone participates. I know I'm here speaking, and everyone's aware of what my role is as a participator, right? But you also have a role as a participator, because your participation has power. Sharing, liking, commenting. Hey, Gabriel. And being an active part of the live. Not 100% of the time, but do the things that'll get this out to others who would love to be a part of this experience. Let's share it. So when you share, like, and then you comment, that's a participation live. That's the kind of lives we hold here. We don't do the passive live where people just sit and listen, because that doesn't do anything. And I like participation, and this is what it should be. It also helps you to retain things. It tells the mind that what you're listening to is important when you do a little bit more, even if it's clicking a like button. The mind sees that you're more engaged and has better retention. And also, we're on an app that responds to participation. Right? It responds to participation. And so if we're going to be on here, we have to kind of follow those rules, which shouldn't be hard because nobody's asking you to do anything out of the extraordinary. What I'm talking about, it might be a little bit out of the extraordinary. The research and learning I've done over decades to bring it here, that's extraordinary. But to listen and to hear and to participate is not that difficult. So I really appreciate it when you do. I really do. People always say, quick question. And I go, is it really? Quick question, says Cleverly Star. So all living things are source having an experience. Yes. All that existence is source. And I want to talk about the part of source that people just somehow have, because religion and the paternalistic power over the mind is still there. Because never, or I shouldn't say never, because that's not true. Very rarely is this feminine aspect brought in. And where do we see the feminine aspect where do we see the feminine aspect completely obliterated? Where? Don't say the reality, because that's too general of an answer. It comes from somewhere. Where do you see the feminine completely obliterated and left out, or kept deep in the background, placed in insignificant places? There's one place where you see that prominently, and that's where it started, and that's religion. Right? So some of us, unbeknownst to us, and this is not an accusation or or something to put people down, because that's not what it's all about. It's about bringing awareness. If I bring to your awareness the fact that the feminine is left out of this conversation when we talk about source, it's to bring your awareness to not do that anymore, and to bring in what is truth, and not perpetuate lies from the past or from religion or from any sick belief systems whose origins are here in our reality, and they may not necessarily match with what's true. So yes, all things are source having an experience. All the energy that creates matter. See, matter is just energy that is sitting in a very slow vibration. The minute matter starts to speed up in vibration, it turns into a much more a fluid form of matter. Because this is energy. You are energy. It's just energy that is vibrating at a very, very slow pace. Thank you so much. Right? You ever heard that? Anybody heard this? I heard the term "you are light," love and light, or light beings. Who's heard that term before? Just put a 1 in the chat. You don't have to. You don't have to do an explanation unless you want to. Just put a 1 in the chat if you have heard that you are a light being, or someone refer to that, or refer to you as that, or refer to human beings in existence as that. Yeah. That's because it's true. It's true. You, when you see yourself, the physical, you're seeing what light looks like when it becomes solid. It looks like this. No, we don't need Jesus Christ to have any kind of mercy on us. No mercy needed. We are divine beings, beneath nothing and no one. No mercy needed. If there's any mercy, we should have it on ourselves. We look to nothing and no one. Nothing and no one. You should look up to nothing and no one, and look down on nothing and no one. We're not going to have any arguments about this. So you were in the wrong live. You're in the wrong live, and I dismiss you. Anyway, so we're going to go back to the source. So, see, it is from people who think like that. So we need to dismiss that kind of energy from out of our minds. Right? We need to dismiss that energy from out of our minds. Because it is what has us here in the first place. Scrambling and scratching and struggling, all the while worshiping some creature somewhere. But the feminine has been left out of this source conversation because very few people ever talk about the Divine Mother. You'll hear about the Divine Mother here all of the time. Matter of fact, I talk about the Divine Mother more than I do Source. But they are the same side. They're the different side to the same coin. They are our creators, in that, not create as in so many folklore, so much legend, including the ones in all of these books. You know, they stretch all kinds of story. Something made you from the rib of a man, blah blah blah. There's some story where this great being peed across the universe, and thus mankind, womankind were created. All kinds of weird, stupid stories. You are birthed by the Divine Mother. How? Do you know how women have children today? That's exactly how. Because we are like the one who we came from. Just like your children are like the ones that they came from. The evidence is all around us. But too many of us decide that we don't want to believe our eyes and ears and look around at the evidence of how much of existence was created. We want to believe some fairy tale and some lie that no one has any proof of. See, because it makes sense to me that we come from a divine mother and divine father, because me, you, and everybody else in this life came from a mother and a father. Why wouldn't it make sense that that's the way it started to begin with? Right? And so I'm going to talk about Source and talk about it the way it should be spoken about. Source and the Divine Mother. And let's get rid of the poisonous information that has been brought down and passed down through generations. Let that end with you, because it's certainly going to end with me. I ask you to let it end with you. Right? Otherwise, you're going to be listening to silly stories and believing a whole bunch of the nonsense that you wouldn't believe in any other kind of context. Like, woman comes from the rib of a man. When every damn day we watch women produce children, female animals produce children from out of their wombs and into the world. That's what we see every day. But suddenly, some of us have gotten this stupidity running around in our heads about all kinds of stories that have never been proven. That's the kicker. That's the kicker. And see, because people have been made to believe these stories, suddenly they can believe all other kinds of nonsense. And fairy tales. Just look at those who are brainwashed and in cults. Not hard to see. You don't have to go somewhere to visit them. You simply listen long enough. They're all over the place. They've got all kinds of cults too. The religious ones, the political ones. They cause people to do and think in a way that they would never ever think of. I was talking to someone the other day, and he thought he was going to talk to me about politics. And I said, and he started to say, I hate the governor of California. I go, have you ever met him? You ever talked to him? You ever actually seen him in person? No, I haven't. So how can you come to hating someone you've never seen or heard in person? Yeah, because he's a this and he's a that and he's a liberal, you know, the labels. I go, oh, really? And this individual, no, I don't do politics, or political parties, rather. But I will talk politics. I will talk politics. But I stop it, you see, because a lot of people, they want to talk politics, so they say, but what they actually want to talk about is ideology, and they want to demonize other people and talk about things that they've been told and planted in their heads. And they willingly accept these plants in the brain and the mind because it matches what they want to hear. So when someone goes to talk politics, I stop them. I go, what do you want to talk about? Oh, okay. I go, so if we're going to talk, then we are going to talk politics. Do you know how many members of the House in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Senate? You would believe most of them don't know that. What is the executive branch? What does that stand for? What is the legislative branch? What does that stand for? They don't know. I go, okay, then you don't want to talk politics then, because you don't even know how the government works. You want to talk ideology and demagoguery and propaganda. I am not interested. That ends most so-called political conversations that get started. Because they're not political at all. Politics is the way the countries are run. We decided to govern things. Now, of course, it's been completely corrupted. We all know that. And I know I'm getting off topic, but I will get back to the subject, you guys. Right? So most people want to talk about politics. They don't know politics. They don't know anything about it. They just want to talk about what they heard on their news stations, because it matches what they want to hear. Right? So it's the same thing with these, with the you know, this started off with me talking about cults. Right? Because this is the kind of thinking that have people believing that they came from somewhere and they were created by something, when every day, like I mentioned before, the proof and evidence of how existence came about is sitting right there in front of them. But their minds are not their own, so they cannot see the truth. And so it's crept into spirituality in a bit, and it's up to you and people like me to clean it up and prevent it from spreading and being corrupted like much of the other things that are in our reality. And one of them is how we speak about the creators, Source and the Divine Mother, and not refer to them as gods. And start to see them the way that they are. Start to see them the way that they are. Right? So I'm just going to read a couple of things just to keep it sort of really nice and tight. Source is absolute consciousness. And this is the last time I'm going to say source without mentioning the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother and Source are absolute consciousness, without form and limitation. Without form and limitation. They both go together. Form and with not having form and not having limitations. Source is pure light. Light does not have form. Can you tell me what light is shaped? What's the shape of light, you guys? Anybody know the shape of light? Right. There is no shape. There is no form. Thus, there's no limitation. Because anything that has a form automatically has a limitation, because the minute it has a name, form, Papa G, Cleverly Star, KC, Moxie, all of you in here, the minute something has a name, it has a limitation. So Source and the Divine Mother have no form and no limitation, yet they exist. Now that is hard for the brain and our minds to comprehend. But it's true. Because you cannot comprehend Source and the Divine Mother completely, because they are without limitations. And guess what this mind and this brain is? It's wrapped in the realm of limitations. The limited can never comprehend the unlimited. The limited can only shift towards being unlimited. And that's the point. The point is not for you to understand or comprehend Source and Divine Mother. That's not the point. The point is to become like them, because every mother and every father that's worth their salt want their children to be them and even better. That idea and that desire comes directly from Source and Divine Mother. That's where it comes from. Right? That's where it comes from. They're not someone, because someone is limited. They're not someone in the human sense, right? But the totality of existence, awareness, and potential. Everything physical, mental, spiritual emanates from them. I often give the definition of consciousness. And this definition that I give of consciousness is my own, because you ask many people who are into the era and the arena that I'm in, and you'll get different answers as to what consciousness is. And the reason why you'll get that is because consciousness cannot truly be explained. And this is where Source and the Divine Mother, that's where they exist. You cannot explain them. Right? Consciousness cannot be explained. We could kind of use our minds and bring a sort of like a half-ass explanation that'll make us go, okay, I kind of get it. But that's the best we can do. Right? Because what consciousness is, and I boil it down, if someone says you have to tell me what consciousness is, and you have to give it to me in one sentence. I have like I have tiered answers to what consciousness is. If I were to give it to someone in one sentence, I would say, it is the ingredients of everything that exists. That's my one sentence answer. Consciousness, it is the ingredients for everything. So if you were to go, oh, what are the things? What do you call everything that makes up reality and existence everywhere? You would call it consciousness. And if someone would say, oh, tell me more, I would go, well, you know everything that exists? The things you know and you don't know that exists? Plus all of the things that have existed before, plus all of the things that are going to exist, plus all of the things that have potential to exist but never will exist. That's consciousness. And the answer will always have the same energy and will always lead to the same place, but depending on who's asking, it's going to be slightly different. So, if You want to know what Source and the Divine Mother are? That explanation that I just gave would give you an idea. Still doesn't scratch the surface. Let me tell you, does not scratch the surface, but at least you'll have an idea. Thank you, 10X. Yeah, at least you'll have an idea. But even that barely scratches the surface. As good as that answer is, it doesn't come close to telling you anything. But at least we have an idea, right? At least we have an idea. So, everything physical, mental, spiritual emanates from Source and Divine Mother. And I want to emphasize, we should always be saying Source and the Divine Mother, or the Divine Mother and Source. When it comes to our planet, Gaia, no one has any argument that Gaia, our planet, is feminine. Even the most ardent anti-whatever does not deny that our planet is feminine. An emanation of the Divine Mother herself. And when we look into the universe and how it's shaped in a circular, everything curves, galaxies curve, planets are round, star systems are shapely. There's no doubt that this universe is also feminine, because this particular universe and our particular planet are straight emanations of the Divine Mother herself. Straight from the Divine Mother herself, including males. So I want to get that, because because a lot of times in our reality, whenever we say the feminine or we say the Divine Mother, for some reason it's supposed to be against the masculine. Or when we go, we're pro male, we're against women. This nonsense also has to stop, because everything in this planet is an emanation of the Divine Mother, including if you're male. You see, the true feminine is not anti-masculine. It has space within it for the masculine, because even the masculine on this planet is an emanation of the Divine Mother. Right? Even the masculine is an emanation of a Divine Mother. If you don't believe me, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't believe me, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't understand how that is, put a 1 in the chat. Maybe you believe me, but you may not quite know. Because if there's no 1 in the chat, I'll just move on. I won't explain it. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to go Source and the Divine Mother as a creative force. But before I do that, remember to join my newsletter. It's really simple to do. Thank you, by the way, for getting us up to 10,000 likes, you guys. It's really easy to do. You simply go to the link in the bio, and it takes about 10 seconds. It takes, I guess everyone understands, JC. Very surprising, because I find that hard to believe, but I have to believe what people say or don't say. Right? So you simply do that by going and placing a link in the bio. We have special events and many things that we alert you about. And I know this app clearly now isn't going away. We know that. But it's not going to be like it was before. So certain things are highlighted and certain things are not. And it's good to be able to know things from different venues. So I'm going to be on different venues. And by signing up to the newsletter, you'll be aware of where that is. So if it's only for that, just do that. Thank you for sharing and liking the live. We got up to 10K. Let's try to see if we can get up to 15. Get more people in here. Source and the Divine Mother are the origins of creation itself. The universe, life, energy, all of it. The origin of it. And that's why we cannot refer to them as God or gods. Because even though some gods may say, interesting, even though some gods may say they created everything, when you look at their behavior, it completely disproves what it is that they claim. And they are creations of our mind. We created them. We give them power and we give them life. Because the minute you forget about them, they disappear. And they have to go into the background when you forget about them. That's why some of them come at you with fear, death, destruction, and hell. All false promises, including the one about heaven. All right, Cleverly Star, fantastic. Congratulations. Congratulations. So that's why you can never compare the two. Right? You can never compare gods and Source and Divine Mother. Not in the same category. All the ones, not true. 99% of the ones that call themselves God are the fallen beings who want to see your demise and destruction. Just simply look around. And they all the people acting in that destructive way, they are all following these religions and these gods, aren't they? The energy signature of these fallen beings is death, colonization, exploitation, enslavement, both physical and mental, and destruction. All that follow them, wherever they go, extinction follows. Particularly the Abrahamic religions. Wherever those religions go, and the people who serve in those religions, extinction goes. Nature starts to shrivel away. Because that's the nature of the spirits that they carry. The ones they call gods. That's their energy signature. That has nothing to do with how Source and the Divine Mother truly are. In totality in their nature. But I must say that everything that exists is an emanation of them. So I can't turn around and tell you, oh, that's not Source at all, and that's not the Divine Mother at all. Nothing to do with that. All of that, ironically, is also energy from Source and the Divine Mother. And we are here to experience the whole thing so that we can grow and know and appreciate the energy that we are as Source and the Divine Mother. Because all of our energy and your energy, the energy of all that you see, is an emanation of them. Whether you judge it as being good, bad, ugly, or evil, it all comes from Source and the Divine Mother. But you see, you're not made to have the experiences that they choose. You are given the full wide breadth of all the experiences so that you can choose. Because as powerful as they are, they never trample upon your free will. And you came down here to the lowest level that a highly evolved being can exist in to experience all of that. You chose that before you came here. I'm not saying believe me, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying like some of these people who say, "Oh, you just walked across the street and broke your leg, you chose that." No. You didn't choose that. That just happened as an accident. You did not choose that. But you did choose to come down here to experience the widest breadth of experiences and emotions and situations that you could ever experience. Because this is the lowest place in vibration, in frequency, and the slowest moving in vibration that we can exist in. And what is the reason? Why would we choose to come down here? Because maybe some of us want to experience what greed is like. Some of us may want to experience what deep grief is like. And you see, this is the only reality that you get to experience that in. See, spirit doesn't look at good, bad, evil. It just looks at an experience. Because you, at the level of your Source, your spirit, that's the part of you that is Source, your spirit, may choose something that you in the physical body would never choose. It's still you. You in the physical body will never choose. Because the physical body and the emotions will at some point go back to the earth. But you as a spirit endures forever. You endure forever. Throughout eternity. Because I learned through experience that forever is a long time, but it is not the same as eternity. Right? So in your Source self, you might choose to have a brief physical experience, and you'll choose it because you've never experienced it before. And you know that it'll be brief. Some of you came down here just to see what an orange tastes like. If you've got eternity, why wouldn't you do that? Your existence is eternal. Hey, I want to know I want to have an orange. So I'm going to go down there and have an orange. Absolutely. And while you're down here, you have all these other experiences too. But the number one reason is to taste that orange. Believe it or not, there are some of you out there, maybe not in this life, but there's some people that exist whose spirits have animated a body down here just for something as simple as that. Simple to us. But what if you've never tasted an orange and you've heard about it and you can't taste it as a spirit? You can only taste it as a physical being wearing the body of the matrix that you decided to come into. That's why this thing about you'll burn in hell and all this is BS. How are you going to burn a spirit? It's not physical. Only physical things burn. And the worms are going to gobble you up in hell forever. Well, you know, they're going to keep eating forever. And by the way, how come the fire is not burning the worms? I want to know about how the worms are surviving this hell. You see how silly these stories sound? And then in another one, they say, oh, if you give your life for this creature, you know, you'll go to heaven and have 1,000 virgins to choose from, and you'll have all the great food to eat. Really? What are you going to do with a virgin if you're a spirit? What are you going to do with all that food if you're a spirit? Nothing! Because all of that is from this physical reality. Let me tell you something. What you came here to do is way more interesting than that nonsense. Way more interesting than that nonsense. All right. Again, remember to sign up for my newsletter. Link is in the bio. Very simple to do. It takes about 10 seconds. Cleverly, while I was talking about signing up in the bio, went there, and by the time I finished, she came back and said she signed up for it. That's how quickly she was able to do it. Right? You'll get information on our spiritual community and what's going on there. You'll get information on events that we're holding, and information that will help and give you a chance, or give you the opportunity to further your spiritual growth and path. Let's go to Source and the Divine Mother as a creative force. Source is the origin of creation itself. I can't explain that. I know it's true from deep within my heart, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you and explain how that is, because you cannot explain it with the limitations of my brain and my mind. You exist. Start there. The universe, life, energy, and even time are considered expressions, are outpourings of Source, and that's just a couple of things. Both linear time, false time, linear time, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, that is false time. That's not real time. People say time is an illusion, time's not real. They don't know what they're talking about. Time does exist, but not in the form that we use it as linear time. True time is now. Both linear time and the now are outpourings of Source and the Divine Mother. Both of them. Even though one is an illusion, the passing of time, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, today, tomorrow, Monday, next month, next year, that's the illusion. Even that is an outpouring of Source and the Divine Mother. Everything is. Everything is. And here's the thing many people have an issue with. And that is the transcendence of duality. There's no good, bad, light, dark, manifestation, you, unmanifestation, this, that, the other. They're all, when you're Source, you get it all at once. When you are Source, now we're aspects of Source, right? But what does, and the Divine Mother, but what does that really mean? It means we have our own individual experiences, and Source and the Divine Mother have the individual experiences that we have. That's why there's no book for them. There's no Bible, not needed. You're the book, you're the Bible, you're all of it. They don't need to have a book written about that. Because you can't forget about them, because every time you see something, whether you realize it or not, you're looking at an emanation of Source and the Divine Mother. No book needed. When you see yourself, you're looking at the same thing. All of it. But when it comes to something that's good or something that's bad or all this kind of stuff, this is where a lot of us have problems. Because when you are Source and the Divine Mother, you don't live in duality. You don't go, that's good, that's bad. You go, here, you decide. But where we're at, we're in non-duality. There is no such thing. We'll let you have the illusion of that, should you choose it. And then we choose it. You see, we are not them. We're an emanation of them, because Source and the Divine Mother are experiencing every single thing all at the same time. We would not be able to sustain, we would just burn up and disappear with that kind of stuff. They are having all of the experiences happening at the same time. So much so, if we were to even gaze, it would burn us up. Not because the Divine Mother and Source want to show how powerful they are, but it's because of the kind of energy that they're carrying. It would, a physical body would not be able to even maintain looking at it. It isn't because of like some, macho dude with a beard in the sky says, oh, you can't look upon me because I'm so great. He would just burn up because of my greatness. That's Jehovah. That's not them. By the way, it's not true at all, because he's sitting right here in the physical reality, in the astral realm. One of the fallen beings. He does not carry that quality. But he knows that the Divine Mother and Father do. He knows. And so they don't do duality. But we're not forced to have to not do it, because they don't do it. So we choose to come down into a dualistic situation so we can have an experience. It might sound like you've heard this a million times, BS. But let me tell you something. When you're an eternal being, there's no death for you. You've got one challenge. Anybody, if you live throughout eternity, you do not die. Right? We only believe that because we're in a limited body. And we've been lied about it so that we can be controlled, but you don't die. I want someone in here to tell me, what would be the biggest challenge for a being who does not die? Who lives eternally? If you lived forever, what would be your biggest challenge? All right, I'm going to give you a choice. Put a 1 in the chat if it would be you have no challenge. Put a 1 in the chat. There's 16 of you. If you say you would have no challenge if you're an eternal being, put a 1 in the chat. No, karma does not apply here. You would have no challenge. Put a 1 in the chat. You're a little too early, JC. All right. More. Thank you, Earth Angel, because you gave an answer. Thank you, JC. Earth Angel says 1, you would have no problems. Okay, thank you for that. Who also says 1? No, you're not ever. When I say forever, you are not stuck in your body forever. You're not stuck in your situation throughout eternity. You're not. That's not what I mean. Yeah, you won't be. Oh, that would be hell to be in this body and be stuck in it. You're absolutely right about that. All right, here's the second choice. How many people put a 2 in the chat if you say boredom would be the problem? Boredom. Put a 2 in the chat. Cleverly Star says 2, boredom. Who else? Give me another chance. Give me another answer. Cleverly Star is lonely all over there with her with number 2. She needs some company. Come on now. Before I go to the next one, I need another answer. I need another 2. I need another number 2. There is no 3. There's only 2. Okay, Earth Angel, you answered 1 already. Did you change your answer? I know you're trying to participate. Thank you so much. I don't know what's so hard about that for everyone else here. That's right. Number 2 would be your biggest challenge. Think about it. You live forever. You are an eternal being. Eventually, you have to shift from what it is you're doing, because it's going to get old, to something new. Being bored would be your biggest challenge as an eternal being. That would be your biggest challenge. So, we create matrices. People think, oh, the matrix, this matrix. There are many matrices. By the way, everywhere in this universe, if there is a civilization and it's physical, it's a matrix. The only thing that's beyond the matrix is spirit. And what does spirit do? It creates matrices so that it can put itself into them and have an experience. So that is why your spirit would choose an experience down here. Whereas you, as the fractal piece of your spirit in the physical body, may say, no, I don't want to do this. But your spirit is eternal. You're eternal. So it would do it just to have the experience, because it lives in infinity. Your energy, you cannot be destroyed. So therefore, a spirit does not see, oh, that's good, that's bad, ooh, that's, oh, no. Mm-mm. That is why spirit doesn't see that. Fully aware of what its physical counterpart might think during the experience, your higher self, your spirit knows. But it also knows that it's temporary. And then when you make that last closing of the eyes, you'll see it all. You'll go back to non-duality. But duality isn't going anywhere, because it is one of the components of unlimited experiencing. Right? And once you've gone, so that's also why we have a spiritual awakening going on the planet Earth. because we chose the experience of forgetting where we come from, forgetting who we are, forgetting what we're supposed to do down here, our purpose, and everything. And we're just walking around like zombies. We chose that because we said, what if I put myself and did that to myself? And then the challenge is from that, from not knowing who I am, not knowing where it came from, not knowing what the heck I'm doing here. And along with all of that, let's throw in some deception and belief systems and religion and people and fallen beings. And then we're gonna realize ourselves again from all of that. We decided to take on the biggest challenge in this universe. How the heck do you go from knowing and forgetting every damn thing to remembering again? How do you do that? Yeah. Think of yourself outside of your physical body as a spirit. Pretend you never existed and think about that challenge. After outdoing and running circles around every other challenge that you've had, and you're presented with that one. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And that's why you and I are down here. And if you make it to the level where you're spiritually awakening, even if you're just barely getting there, you have gotten 80% of the way there when it comes to that challenge. So you make sure that you keep stepping forward into your spiritual awakening. And don't get fooled into thinking you're awakened when you're not. Don't get fooled into thinking you're awakened and you're not. Because there are certain steps that happen. And one of them is you'll keep awakening. And then you take steps and climb that ladder. And that's why I asked you to subscribe to the newsletter. And I have a spiritual community, my spiritual tribe. That's the name of it. It's not my spiritual tribe, it's my spiritual tribe is the name of it. Thank you so much. I missed your name. Thank you so much. Right? Its entire purpose is that. And it's made structurally in a way so that you can get it, comprehend it, and move forward. Because I know that in your spiritual awakening process, all kinds of confusing things start to come. All kinds of weird stuff starts to come, and you're wondering what to do and what's next and all of that. Thank you, Energy Flow. And you're wondering what to do and all of that. And this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden, the little strange things to take you off the path starts to come. People in there, oh, you know about Wicca? You know about Oshun, and you know about this, you know about the Orishas, and all of that is the next level to get you off your path. Because if it's coming from out there for you to join some club that a lot of people are in, because the crowd is big in them, you know that ain't it. Don't get waylaid. Because unless it's pointing you on in here, it's a waylay job waiting to happen. So even if you're caught in that waylay job, you're on this live for a reason. To remind you to step away from that and towards yourself. Thank you, Earth Angel. Right? So, Source and the Divine Mother they stand in non-duality, but they still experience it because you are them. You see, that's the difference between Source and the Divine Mother. You see, they want you to know your connection to them without any hierarchy and any kind of pompous stuff or any kind of threats. Whereas some of these other things that people are involved with, some of these other creatures want you to be in fear of them and to be in adoration of them, adorn them, and to be completely in bending knee to them. That's the difference. That's why you don't call Source and the Divine Mother gods. Because that's what gods do. They don't do that. They want you to know that they are your mother and your father, and they love you, and that they have offered this opportunity for you to have the experience down here, and that they aren't sitting over there in the back just watching like TV. They are right in it with you. But they're not going to write a book for you to study because you are the book. Right? They don't ask you for worship. They don't ask you for your energy. They don't ask you for any of it. Because they are you. What are they asking for? Only things that are outside of you ask you for stuff because they don't have access to it. Not only does Source and the Divine Mother have access to it, they are it. They don't have to ask you for any of it. Because they're it. And you're also it. All right, we're gonna get to one more point because I think I've made the point here. I talk about this all the time, and I'm just gonna read this a little bit, and I'm gonna expand on it a little bit, and then we're gonna finish up. It says Source isn't somewhere out there. Source is the Divine Mother. They're not somewhere out there. Or a future reward. Some made up heaven. It's here and now. Underlying all of reality, awareness of it is more about tuning into it than seeking it externally. Than seeking it externally. Right? This is not, oh, you're spiritually awakened and you do this and you do that so that you can go, you know what they say, do this, do it, so you can go to the fifth dimension. Sounds a lot like so that you can go to heaven, doesn't it? Spirituality, this is one of the differences between spirituality and religion. Religion offers you some reward somewhere that comes after you if you do your good deeds, good boy and girl. Spirituality says your rewards and everything are sitting right here, right now. And then once you pass, you go to another place, and what you do down here is also going to factor into the rewards that you get after. It's not an either or, it's both. Because you're a spirit existing now, and you'll be a spirit existing there, and then, and in the now, and then, in the past, future, present, all of it at the same time. All of it at the same time. No promise. That's one thing, right, with spirituality. Have you been promised anything in the spiritual walk? Now, don't get me wrong. People may promise you stuff and call themselves spiritual. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do you know from within, is there a reward that you're going to be given for being a spiritual person and working on yourself and all? Is there some reward? No, the reward is now. You get to feel peace. You get to evolve. You get to influence the planet based on your consciousness within. You do all of that. That's now. And then yes, the body isn't going to last eternally. It goes back to the earth, but you're not your body, so that's no big deal. Your emotions and your psychological mind, those are the other 2-3 things that make you physical. They're going to go back to where they came from. No problem. They're not you either. And then as spirit, you go to where you're going to go next. And you enjoy that. You have the party and everything. Or you might decide that you don't go straight. So because there's an assumption that you go straight to spirit right after you die. It is a very erroneous one. Because when I pass from this planet, I don't go directly to spirit. I go to my other forms. And then I come back from that other form back to this form here on planet Earth. So this idea that you die and your spirit goes to hell and all that is nonsense. Because I know for a fact that when I drop the physical body of this 3D, I go to a higher dimension and a higher density, and I wear the body of that density till I'm ready to come back into another one like this one. Make sense? So the body goes and you just drop into the other body that lasts way longer. That's why you're eternal and you don't die. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, sign up for the newsletter. And until next time, thank you so much.